Hello, I am Clementine,
Hi, I'm Diane.
and this is a new podcast we created in which I annoy you basically with just true crime
Yep.
because that's what I've been doing for months, and now I actually have an outlet and a reason to.
Yep.
So, of course, what did we say this was going to be? Like every Friday?
Every
We'd
Friday,
try.
we'd record usually during the week and we post on Fridays.
Yes. So look forward to this. And if you're coming from any other social media outlet, I have plugged this on. Welcome and thank you so much for being here. Um, please subscribe. We're
Yes.
desperate.
Subscribe.
Okay. So here I talk about basically true crime cases and then with the occasional unsolved mystery. Um, I find the unsolved mysteries more entertaining because we can throw around theories in the end, bounce ideas off of each other. And this one is an unsolved mystery. I wanted to open strong. I wanted to. So, if. Oh, disclaimer. um, if any. Sorry. Someone's texting me. If if any of you are grossed out by, we're going to give a disclaimer on every video, even though this is true crime, it's pretty gnarly here. We're still going to give a disclaimer. So basically, this one, it's if you have a weak stomach, don't listen to this because I'm going to be going into some detail about mutilated bodies.
Yep.
Or if you're just a paranoid individual to begin with, then this unsolved case might not be for you because typically when you have an unsolved case, you can make inferences. You can make educated guesses. But this, I have no idea.
Yeah. Also, feel free. We love to hear people's ideas and theories. So when we post, if you watch this and you notice something we missed and you want to comment, please do. We would love to hear other theories, and because it's really important to see views that you didn't before. And not to mention also comment ideas you would want in another podcast. Maybe there are mysteries or people out there that we've never heard of before, because I know personally Clementine loves to learn more about new things, and I'm just here for the ride.
And also, if I get something wrong, please correct me. I don't want to go about this case spreading lies, basically. Yep. I research these cases to the best of my ability, and I try to get as much correct information as possible. But if I do mess up something, please tell me. So today I'm going to be talking about I'm going to mess up these names. Okay. They're Russian. All okay. Right. The Dyatlov Pass incident. Please don't come for me. I'm trying my best. So basically, we start. There's 10 hikers. This takes place in January of 1959. So as you can see, this was a group of experienced hikers. They were all in their 20s to 30s, I'd say. They knew what they were doing, and it was led by Igor Dyatlov. Russia.
Oh, is that why the
Dyatlov
mystery is named after him?
Yeah,
you think so?
Say.
Okay.
So they expected to take a trip and be back around February 12th. That was their goal, was to do this, get back by February 12th, be fine. So along the trip, Yuri Yudin, he turned around and he went back. So he left. Thank God. If I was Yuri, I'd be like, damn. Thank God. Because what happened to these people was so my cat is scratching the wall. Hey. Okay, I'll let her. So what happened to these people was so awful. Like, aliens is the most reasonable thing to have happened because it's just so bizarre. So they were hiking, cold climate, clearly, very cold climate. They had supplies. I want to say some of them were like trained skiers too, because they're
Probably.
on skis. Yeah, yeah.
Skis.
And they thought they were gonna be okay. That's the sad part. They expected to just go on this trip, make it back. I can't remember what the trip was for. Sorry, but so basically they set up camp on the slope of, I'm gonna butcher this name, Kola Psyche. So they set up camp there, and so days go by. They have not returned by February 12th. So their families and people, because they told people like, hey, we're going to be back by February 12th. So when they don't return, people obviously are like, where the hell are they? And it's weird to them, but they give them a couple days. Like, they could have gotten snowed in. Anything could have happened. So they give them a couple days, and when they don't return by February 21st, they decide to send out a search party.
Yep. They waited that long? That's like 9 days.
Yeah, they waited
Usually it's like
good amount
24 to 48 hours, and then it's like an Amber Alert.
Well, it was 1959.
Oh, true.
No one really cared about each other back then. So they sent out this search party and expected to find them just perfectly fine. Maybe got lost, maybe, got snowed in somewhere. What they stumbled upon was their destroyed campsite with all 9 of them dead. And just...
So their bodies were there?
Their bodies were there. I'll get into that.
All right.
So, what they found was the tent they were in was slashed from the inside. So the zipper, when you go into a tent, when you exit a tent, you use the zipper. But they took a knife and slashed it open from the inside. So that would have, somebody must have been in a rush.
So like a crime scene analyst knew that it happened from the inside. Like, that's so weird.
Yeah. 1959. They're like, why would it be slashed from the inside? So what they found inside the tent were their belongings still. They found flashlights, and they found their clothes. Their clothes and shoes were still in there. And they were like, why? It's freezing outside. There's snow. Why don't they have their clothes on? And as they found the bodies, some people were completely naked, only wearing their underwear. Some were wearing socks, but some other bodies were wearing the clothes of others. So, like, if you were found in what I'm wearing right now. So they're like, why? What would make someone take their clothes,
So here's my question. Was it just like their clothes one layer, or were they layered up?
They had to have, I don't know. They looked layered up. I've seen like some of the photos, and I want to say they were layered up.
Because like I can kind of see, I don't know if this will be a theory later, but a lot of the time when you experience hyperthermia and you're dying, like your nerves, they die. They your body, your cells start denaturing. You are like shutting down. You feel like you're on fire because of it. So you start taking off clothes, and you can't, like, you're freezing to death, but it feels like you're on fire. So like that's the only reason I could think why they were like naked for no reason.
That was a theory, was that they experienced hypothermia because MEs, they did rule out that they died of hypothermia. I'm putting quotation marks around that. You can't see me, but because that's what would cause them to strip.
Yep.
But why would you strip and slash your tent open and go running?
Right.
Is my question. So that's what they found weird. They also found footprints that were leading downhill of people who were either barefoot or wearing socks, which matches the bodies they found. And they also found like a small fire that somebody was trying to build. Didn't go well. So then as they kept looking, that's when they discovered the bodies. So it looked like they ran, or not ran actually, forget I said that, to like a small area of trees and tried to build a fire of some sort. Completely left their campsite with everything there. So the first body was found with burns on his head and his foot. They had cuts and bruises. A lot of them had cuts and bruises. Like, it was common for all of them to have it. He had a gray foam substance that was on his cheeks.
Was it ever identified?
I'd have to research that. I just saw a gray foam substance on his cheek. Another body was found also with cuts and bruises, but the tip of his nose was missing, and his knuckle was found inside of his mouth. So bizarre, very bizarre.
Yeah.
Some people had blunt force trauma to their heads. Like, they took huge blows to the head, which, yeah. So they found 5 hikers at first. They did not find the other 4 hikers until 2 months later. So it took them 2 months to find these bodies that were layered under snow, obviously. Time has gone by. This is where it gets gruesome. This is where it gets gory. One was missing his eyes and the soft tissue that was around it. And their chests were so crushed that it looked like their ribs were like split apart, basically.
Jeez.
Like, it was just so much trauma to these bodies.
Was it like an environmental crush, or did it seem like something only like intelligent life would perform on someone?
That's the biggest mystery. You just do not know what happened to these people. Yes, and then another had her chest crushed. She was missing her eyes, the soft tissue around it, and she was missing her tongue.
The tongue.
So, missing body parts, huge red flag. Like, I know animals could come by and find it, but they found no footprints of animals. They found no sign of animals being around them.
Did they find any of the body parts that were taken out?
No. So it's just this huge mystery of what kind of force could have done this sort of damage, because I get cuts and bruises, I get blunt force trauma, but for eyes to be missing, for a tongue to be missing, for specifically a piece of knuckle to wind up in somebody's mouth, a theory was that he was like stressed and he was like biting his knuckle and like bit it off.
I don't know. Like, I get like I bite my nails. It's something, it's like self-harm, and you do it like subconsciously, but I don't know, like a whole knuckle. That feels so
It's
wrong.
quite simple, actually, to bite fingers off.
Yes, I do know that.
Yes. So he could have been under so much stress from whatever was happening, or he could have...
Maybe the adrenaline didn't make him feel it.
Or he could have been, like, pushed or something that would cause him to clamp down on his knuckle.
True. That's true, too.
So they also found radiation on their clothing.
Were they near a hotspot?
This whole case is, I don't know. Could have been. Yeah, and like I said, some of them were completely naked with just underwear, and some were wearing the clothes of other hikers. And the stupid cats. Some were described to, like, when the bodies were found, the people at, like, funerals, the families, they said that their skin was like an orangish color, not like Trump orange, but like an orange color, and their hair was like gray.
And it wasn't like that before?
No, these people are in their 20s. They wouldn't be graying.
That is so weird.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where people are like, okay, let's be reasonable. What if an avalanche happened? Which would cause, them to flee, for people to be thrown around, getting cuts and bruises, getting, blunt force trauma. But how would it take your eyes is my question.
Yeah, like the eyes and tongue and like the crushing.
I get like maybe because those people were found later, maybe like birds got to them or something, but they were piled under snow. So, but the thing is, the avalanche, that theory was completely debunked because there was zero sign that an avalanche occurred. Because avalanches, when they happen, they create patterns. And there was no pattern left behind. And the bodies, they were found in a shallow amount of snow. You would find them buried within snow. You would find them in weird positions. You would find just everybody everywhere. And
not only that, but if an avalanche happened, would they have had the chance to even realize it?
I don't know. And also, how did they find footprints if the avalanche happened? That would have covered... Who was walking around in the avalanche?
Who
Nobody.
thought the avalanche theory was a good one?
Idiots. Yeah, no tracks of animals to show that they were attacked by animals. So that was another theory, that they heard, like, animals, so they ran, and then the animals attacked them. But there was no sign that that happened. Okay. So now is where I'm going to discuss some of the theories as to what happened. Popular theory, foul play happened. Somebody was behind this. A group. It had to have been a group. You can't just be one person and attack 9 people and totally get away with it. So there was a local Native American tribe called the Mansi people. And they lived in this area. So a theory was that they were mad that their land was being, trespassed on. But the Mansi people, they were interviewed, and they're very peaceful people. They have no history of violence. They have no history of attacking just innocent people. So that was completely ruled out. This theory is so stupid, I don't even want to talk about it, but there was a theory that they were all secretly double agents. They were going to this area to meet CIA agents to transport some materials, but something went wrong to cause the CIA agents to kill them.
Yeah, that, like, I get maybe, like, something, like, the foul play is way more reasonable, but if they were CIA agents, like, their families would have realized they would go all over the world and never say a thing about it.
Okay, and if they were CIA agents, why was the 10th guy like, yeah, bye.
Right? Like, if they were on a mission, you can't just say no to that.
Yeah, I'm leaving, because I think he left because he wasn't feeling well.
Suspicious.
Maybe he did it.
He's the imposter.
Yeah, he is the imposter. And there was no evidence of, like, a robbery. So if there were bandits in the area, nothing was stolen, because who's going to steal a flashlight?
Right.
I want your blanket. Nobody's going to do that.
Your skis.
I want those skis. And plus, who would just stumble upon them? Like, I'm a bandit just in the mountains.
Yeah. Like, usually hikers, like, it's a small community. Not everybody hikes.
Skilled hikers.
Some places aren't like widely known beyond the world of hiking. So I'm guessing since it took so long to find them in the first place, like this place had to be a little underground. Like it couldn't have been like spoken about. There wouldn't be normal people just strolling through these mountains. Like this is probably like extreme sport type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The CIA agent thing is so dumb. Like they're not double agents. Watch them actually be.
Oh my god.
But what were they transporting? Tell me that.
Drugs.
Conspiracy theorists. Okay, let's go to the mountains to do this. That's such an odd location too. Like I'll meet you in the snowy mountains. Oh, I'm a double agent. I'll be back February 12th. Don't look for me. But this guy's gonna turn around and come back and literally have no explanation. Because if he was a double agent, then he'd be like, yo, they're all dead now, so I can tell you they're double agents.
Yeah, right.
So maybe.
You would have ratted him out.
Yeah, snitch. Okay, aliens is the other theory.
Aliens, yeah.
That's it? You're done?
No.
I already sold you.
I got it, yeah.
I think this is the photo. Okay, this is the last photo taken by the hikers. So what people have thought is that glowy dot right there, that's a UFO.
That's a UFO.
And they thought, because there were people making claims that they saw UFOs in the area around that time. But you know how people are. Communities, they're always like, I saw a UFO. No, you didn't. You saw an airplane. That's what you saw.
Oh my god.
So people claim that, and it's just like, okay, Susan, we don't have time to be, but maybe that would explain the radiation that was on their clothing.
That could be true.
The weird tint to their skin.
Yeah. There's definitely, like, radiation isn't always, like, the kind of radiation that people think of. Like, a different isotope of an element tends to be radioactive. It doesn't mean it's gonna disform you, disfigure you, cause problems. But it could mean, like, these aliens could have been from somewhere else where they don't have the same isotope of an element active that we do. Like, we use, like, one form of carbon, but maybe they're a different one with different properties. And that's what the radioactivity was. It's not like uranium and Chernobyl. They're in the mountains. Like, that wouldn't happen there.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know. Aliens, maybe. But let's think for a moment. As reasonable students, what would cause a group of aliens to go, hey, there's some MFers hiking. Let's just kill them.
For fun. For sport. I mean, people do it. Why wouldn't they? Right?
And they had to strip them.
Maybe.
But the others could wear clothes. Like, who decided who got to wear clothes here?
I don't know. The aliens, they're like, you look better with clothes on.
Yeah, keep those on, buddy. But that was another theory that they, like, ran from something. I don't know what got them naked in the first place. But that some of the people, they took the clothes off of their dead friends and put it on. That's why some were naked and they were wearing the others. Because they died first. So they're like, shit.
And they did leave all their stuff behind. They were fleeing. That's 100% certain. We can agree.
I can stop you right there. So, the footprints they found showed people walking a normal pace. Yeah. They weren't, like, zigzagged. They weren't in, like, the footprints were of people who were just walking calmly. So why did they wake up in the middle of the night, go, I'm going to take off my clothes, I'm going to go down by those trees, start a fire, and die?
Do you think, is there a theory about drugs use that you have?
I haven't heard of drug use, but that could be plausible.
Because, like, there are a few things that I could see just from what's been presented that would make sense. So, some people on drugs, whether they're depressants, stimulants, psychedelics, they all react differently.
They're probably
like
psychedelic.
They were probably high on something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's 1959. Who's gonna stop them?
But could they find that in their systems when they did autopsies?
They should have been able to, but also since it was so long ago, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, A, they'd been dead for so long. B, like, I don't know if the technology existed. Like, I know we have a lot now today, but I'm not sure the difference from back then. Like, that's like a blood test and stuff like that. So, people get paranoid and get insane when they're on drugs. Like, some people
100%.
react like they're twacked off the wall. They don't even know they're, like, in reality.
Yeah.
Like, that could explain the eyes. Like, eyes are a huge
Scratch
part.
their eyes out.
Yeah, like, people who go crazy just in general. Like, people who have mental disorders, who, like, they go insane, they tend to, like, claw at their eyes.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge thing. So if they're on something that's making them paranoid or making them, like, want to die, like, they could start ripping themselves apart or kill each other. Which, I mean, there are also other things that don't make sense with the drugs, like the crushed bodies.
Yeah.
And
that could
like
have been
burns.
Yeah. There is a theory that seems very plausible. That's actually very reasonable. So this isn't the theory I'm talking about. This is the Yeti theory. This isn't the plausible one I'm talking about. So people claim that the Yeti lives in Russia. So I have to talk about this. Clearly the Yeti didn't kill these people.
The Yeti. Like
The
the
Yeti.
ride at Disney.
The ride at Disney.
You hated that.
He got out of that ride,
God.
and he's like, I'm killing them.
He's ready.
Yeah. He was so mad. But that's why they're like, that's why they have so many injuries, because the Yeti just tore them apart.
Yeah, but animal attacks are, like, not planned. 2 people missing their eyes can't be a coincidence.
Is the Yeti an animal, or is the Yeti a person with a lot of hair?
I don't know. I think it's like a mix in between. Kind of like Bigfoot.
Do you believe in Bigfoot?
I have no idea. I think people are crazy and hunt Bigfoot.
Remember the show Finding
Yes!
Bigfoot? Yeah.
I think it's possible. Like, everything is possible. But I don't know if it's absolutely 100% real.
I don't know how I feel about Bigfoot. I believe in aliens, 100%. But
Me too.
Bigfoot, just some guy walking around in the forest, I don't know. The Yeti, I don't want to believe in the Yeti.
Me neither.
Because if I'm hiking one day, I don't want to see the Yeti.
He'd be rude.
I refuse to believe in him.
He'd make me walk at a normal pace away from my tent.
Yeah. He would. Yeah, if the Yeti's chasing me, I'm not gonna go, okay, I'm taking my time to walk away from him. But I'll cut my tent open. What happened? Like, why would somebody be like, slash? Okay, now I'll be calm.
Rip.
Yeah.
Peace. And
Bye.
you start walking like a sim.
Okay, the next theory, this doesn't show the theory. This is just another photo.
Okay.
I feel like I'm giving a school presentation right now. Okay, so military tests.
Military tests.
So speculation says that their campsite where they were staying that night was on the same ground as a Soviet parachute mine exercise. So these parachute mines, it's kind of like Hunger Games, I think. Remember the little things that would come down from the sky with like presents? But then in Mockingjay, they were secretly bombs.
Yep.
So it's something like that, I think. So theory is that they heard like explosions going off, and they were like, whoa, that's what caused them to rip everything open, walk down to the trees.
Okay, the walking part, I've got to defend when you're disoriented and there's things happening around you, you don't tend to run. You tend to, like, stumble and walk with caution, especially if it's dark, you're in snow, you might not have your shoes on, like, you're confused. Like, you're gonna be, like, walking, kind of stumbling around, trying to figure out where you're at. So, if they're walking, maybe it's, like, not 100% normal, but it's not, like, super weird.
I saw who that was.
My dad? Oh,
no.
Okay, anyways.
Okay, so they heard the loud explosions, they fled, but they couldn't make it back to their camp because they were all like, whoa, what just happened? So some of them died of hypothermia, others took their clothes, and then tried to make it back. That would explain the fire, to try to keep themselves warm. But they were killed and injured by the parachute mines. That's why they had those weird injuries, like eyes missing. Like the impact could have, boom, lost their tongue. The glowing lights in the photo, let's go back to that for a second. People are like, that's the parachute mine. That's not a UFO, that's the parachute mine coming down, and that's what they photographed. The radiation could be because of weapons used, explaining the radiation on their clothes, but whatever. The last theory, I think, is the one we should all consider when coming up with a conclusion on this case. Nature obviously wasn't an avalanche, but there's a thing called katabatic wind. I think I probably pronounced that wrong. So this wind happens at night, and it has the same force of a hurricane's wind. So it's very strong. So the theory is that the wind was coming down so fast that they were like, this is going to blow our tents away. So they left in a panic, abandoned their tents, and went down the slope to seek shelter of some sort. But then they eventually couldn't make it back, died of hypothermia. People took their clothes, the fire. But the injuries.
Yeah, that's like the number one thing.
Is the
there
injuries.
Are so many things you can pin it on, but then you've got these outliers that just don't fit.
You could literally come up with the most reasonable thing, and there will be one part of this case that just doesn't fit that theory. That's why people are like, it has to be aliens.
I wouldn't say saying the paranormal is like a bad idea. Like, that is totally plausible. Like, anything abhuman could be the reason. I mean, like, the injuries involved, the eyes, the tongue, the crushing, like, that is something humanoid. Like, that's something a person does to another, because those are our weak spots. Like, how many animals do you know that can point out something's weak spot as well as a human can? Like, every human knows that eyes are where to go. Like, you learn, like, for some reason in elementary school, like, if you ever get bit by a shark, punch it in the eye.
Yeah, punch it in the eye.
The eye, you're taught, like, your eye is, like, your most vulnerable spot. Like, if you get something in your eye, it's the most irritating thing ever. So, it's either a form of torture or a form of, like, harvesting, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I think a sick and twisted person could totally have, like, pulled this off, like,
it would have
had,
it had to have been a cult, a tribe of some sort. But who?
Do they know anything about that one guy who left?
This guy was stupid. I read some things about him, and he was pissing me off. He was like, oh, that piece of clothing right there, that wasn't any of ours. Bitch, how do you know that?
Right? You left.
Yeah, like, do you know what everyone's underwear looked like? Yuri? No, you didn't. So, I don't know. Maybe the guy was only double agent. And he was like, go whack out my hiking team. Because I'm sick. There's their grave. Oh. Do you have any hardcore belief on what happened?
I don't know. All of it makes sense, but at the same time, it doesn't. Like, there's so much that you can say, but it won't, like...
They, like, contradict each other.
They all do. It could be, like, intergroup turning against each other.
I read that somewhere. I didn't want to include it because I thought it was stupid. But, so, what would explain them being naked is that they saw two members of the group doing the devil's tango, and they were like, oh, you can't be doing that. And then they all just killed each other. Which, maybe. What? Why? What would cause so much anger?
So, what I'm thinking is, there was a group together, and they were found dead, 5 people. Those other 4 weren't found way later, and they're in a different location. So, there may have been infighting, and they could have split based on something that happened, and then one party would have went one way, and the other went the opposite, and they were like, F you, we're off, like, we don't want to see you anymore, like, we're gonna finish this on our own, like, screw you. And so, they may have made an agreement to, like, leave their stuff. Like, sometimes when you argue with someone, you're like, I don't want that, and I don't want that either, and fine, like, and you just both leave.
Right.
So, out of anger, you're irrational, you don't think how you should, and both groups are storming off, pissed. They may or may not be in their clothes, and then they are left stranded without any of their stuff. They might not be able to find their way back, and then hypothermia kicks in. Some might take the dead clothes off them. They might strip on their own and die, like...
Right.
And then there's still the bodies of the eyes and the tongue, which is the biggest thing.
Birds.
Yeah, but like you said, the snow.
Buried under snow. Why was that knuckle in the mouth?
The knuckle
really
in
gets
the mouth.
Me. It really gets me. That's why just none of this makes sense. And for unsolved cases, you know, you could talk about Amelia Earhart. She's dead. She went down in that plane. Okay, reasonable. What other unsolved mystery?
Several. There are billions. John Benet Ramsey.
John Benet, we all know who killed John Benet.
Yeah.
Burke, if you're listening to this, turn yourself in. But this, I don't know. Like, I try to go over anything possible, and I don't know.
The only thing I could say is, like, one group, like, the group could be all together, and they could have, like, killed some intentionally, and then put the bodies elsewhere, which explain, like, the missing eyes and the tongue. Like, maybe they're like, oh, this will help them not get identified, or something stupid, I don't know. And then they just leave and go off on their own and die.
They're sadistic. Maybe because they were in different locations, you know, some sort of storm could have happened that would separate them. They can't get to each other. They die. And then once they're out there, you always have the panickers that are like, oh my god, we're gonna die, blah, blah, blah. Yep. And then other people in the group will be like, shut up. Kill them. They're the first to go, basically. So this case was reopened recently, even though it happened so long ago. Just who the hell knows what happened. And they officially ruled this as they died of hypothermia and an avalanche, which there was no avalanche.
I feel like they just did that to get the case off their file.
There's so many investigators that look at so many pieces of evidence and they're like, this is too much work. Call it an avalanche. That's the easiest way to go. You see so many cases where it's so obvious right in their face, but some investigator will come along, throw something out, burn a piece of evidence.
Right.
Just be like, I don't want to do that. Let's just blame it on him. So this, they've closed it because they're like, oh, it's hypothermia, which it is hypothermia, yes. But it was not an avalanche.
Not an avalanche.
It was aliens. Or the Yeti.
Not the Yeti.
It was the Yeti. I have no strong opinion on what happened. I think something weird happened. That's all I can say. Is some weird shit went down. And if a genie came to me and said, hey, you got 3 wishes, what's one of them? I'd be like, tell me what happened at Dyatlov Pass.
I would probably ask for that too. I'd ask to know every unsolved
mystery. Yeah, I'd be like, tell me all the answers to every single unsolved mystery. I won't tell anybody. It'll be my secrets. I'll keep that forever. Yeah. I don't know. Weird case. Did you enjoy this case, though?
I did. It was kind of spooky. Because, like, the unknown.
That's the scary part, is the unknown. Was it aliens? Was it a group of cannibals? Was it a... Dahmer did it.
Dahmer did it. In 1959.
How old was Dahmer in 59?
Dead? Aliven't. I don't know. He wasn't born. I
think he was born in the 60s because I want to say he operated in the 70s.
Operated?
That's what you call it. They were operating in the 60s, 70s.
Like when they were active?
Yeah.
They say operating?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They were performing surgery.
That's what I thought you were talking about. I'm like, when was Dahmer a surgeon?
Yeah, so next week I have another case for you. It's not unsolved. It's a
case. I like
case.
having a solution to things.
Yes. Do you prefer unsolved or do you prefer cases?
I like both. I think I prefer unsolved because it's kind of like a book. It's up to how you feel about it.
Yep.
And,
choose your own ending.
Yeah. Is this all for our
I think
case?
this is all.
All right.
So if any of you have theories, please leave below in the comments.
Tell us everything you think of.
Yeah.
If we missed evidence, tell us.
A very important part. So we'll probably, most definitely have the other case up by next week.
Yep.
We'll be doing this every week unless something wild happens, unless
we go missing during an avalanche.
Yeah, damn, that'd be unfortunate. Yep. We do live in northern New York, so anything's possible. So thank you for watching.
Yes.
Like, comment, subscribe. And we will be back. Stay safe, wear a mask.
Bye.
Goodbye.